It's 2 in the morning and you're 23 years old, hunched over a laptop in a studio apartment that smells like cold coffee and the burrito you forgot to throw out. The cursor blinks on line 400 of your project. Your phone lights up on the desk beside you, a group chat from a guy you met at a conference last month, 12 people deep, planning drinks downtown. You glance at it. You swipe it away. You go back to the screen. Because right now, in this exact moment, you've made a choice. You don't even know you've made it yet. But this choice to stay in the room alone instead of walking into the room full of people is the fork that decides everything. By the time you're 40, these two versions of you will be living completely different lives, and one of them is going to be much, much richer than the other. The question is which one. So let's run the simulation. Both versions start identical. Same brain, same hunger, same empty bank account. We're just going to change one variable, where you spend your energy in your 20s. Welcome to level 1. Level 1, the solo founder. You are the master of the craft. While everyone else is collecting business cards and posting selfies from rooftop mixers, you are getting genuinely, dangerously good at one thing. Maybe it's code, maybe it's design, maybe it's writing copy that makes people open their wallets. You put in the hours nobody sees, 10,000 of them. You can feel yourself getting sharper every month, and there is a clean, almost spiritual satisfaction in it. The work either functions or it doesn't, and you control whether it does. No politics, no small talk, just you and the problem. By 26, you're billing $150 an hour as a freelancer, then 200, then 3. You land a contract worth $80,000 and you deliver it flawlessly, alone, in your apartment in your socks. Your reputation grows quietly through the work itself. And here's the seductive part, it feels safe. Your skill can't be taken from you. It can't quit on you. It doesn't gossip behind your back. You start believing the world is a meritocracy and you are winning it. But somewhere around 28, you notice something cold. You've maxed out. There are only so many hours you can sell and you're selling them all. To grow, you need clients who pay more, but the clients who pay more don't find you in your apartment. They find you through introductions you don't have. You hit a wall built entirely of people you never bothered to meet. Level 2. The connector. Now rewind. Same 23-year-old, but this version closes the laptop and answers the group chat. You go downtown. You're not the smartest person in the room and you know it. Your skills are average, honestly. But you remember names. You follow up the next morning with a message that isn't asking for anything, just being useful. You introduce two people who needed each other and didn't know it. And here's the secret nobody tells you about networking when you do it right. It isn't collecting contacts. It's planting seeds in soil you'll harvest years later. By 25, you know a venture capitalist's assistant. By 26, you know the venture capitalist. You're invited to a dinner, 8 people, a private room, a check that lands somewhere north of $2,000 that you don't pay because someone else insists. You sit there, a kid who can barely build anything, surrounded by people who can build everything and they like you. That is the entire game. When a startup needs a co-founder, your name comes up, not because you're the best, but because you're the one they thought of. Your first equity stake comes from a conversation, not a contract. By 28, you're sitting on a tiny slice of 3 different companies, doing almost no technical work because your job is the room. You open doors for a living. The danger. You're a yard wide and an inch deep. When someone finally asks you to actually deliver something hard, alone, with your own 2 hands, your stomach drops because you never learned how. Level 3. The synergist. Now the version that should scare both of the others. This is the person who refused to choose. In their early 20s, they did the unglamorous thing. They built the skill first, the way the solo founder did, grinding through the 10,000 hours until the craft was undeniable. But they didn't stop there. Around 25, with real competence in their hands, they started walking into the rooms. And here is the multiplier nobody understands until they see it. When you can actually do the work and you can work the room, every relationship becomes a force multiplier instead of a favor. You meet the venture capitalist and you don't just charm him, you show him a working prototype on your phone over dinner. He doesn't just like you, he trusts you. That combination is rare enough to feel like a cheat code. By 27, your network sends you opportunities, and your skill lets you say yes to the ones the connector would have fumbled and the solo founder would never have heard about. You're billing premium rates, but you're also being offered equity advisory seats, the kind of deals that compound. You stop trading hours for money entirely. You become the person who gets the call before the opportunity is even public. And you start to understand the real lesson hiding under all of this, that the skill gets you in the door, but the relationships decide which doors even exist. Level 4. The ceiling, revisited. Now let's be honest about what happens to each version when the years actually pass, because the simulation doesn't stop at 28. It keeps running. The solo founder, the master of the craft, makes a desperate, smart move at 31. You realize you can't sell more hours, so you try to build a product, something that earns while you sleep. And technically, it's beautiful, the cleanest piece of software in your category. You ship it, and then nothing happens. 42 downloads in the first month, 30 of them friends. Because building the thing and getting the thing in front of people are two completely different skills, and you only ever trained one. You stare at the launch metrics at 1 in the morning, the same hour you've always worked, and the loneliness that once felt like focus now just feels like a locked door. You email a few people who might amplify it. Half don't answer. The other half don't remember you because you were never in the room. You learn the brutal truth that the best product in the world dies in silence if no one with a megaphone owes you a favor. So you go back to freelancing. You make great money, let's say $240,000 a year by 35. Genuinely excellent. But it's a salary wearing the costume of freedom, and you can feel the ceiling pressing down like weather. Meanwhile, the connector, the master of relationships, is having the opposite crisis. By 33, you've got equity in 7 companies and a calendar that looks like a war room. But here's what happens when you're a yard wide and an inch deep. Eventually, someone hands you the actual keys. A founder you backed flames out, and the investors turn to you and say, run it. Be the CEO. And you stand in front of an engineering team that can smell within about 90 seconds that you can't read the code on the screen behind you. You can charm the board. You cannot ship the fix. The company stalls, not because you're lazy, but because you outsource the one thing that can't be outsourced, knowing in your own hands whether the work is good. Your reputation, the thing you spent a decade building, takes its first real dent. You realize relationships open doors, but they cannot walk through the door for you. You make good money too, board seats, advisory checks, maybe one exit that pays you $400,000. But you're a passenger in every vehicle. You never learn to drive. Level 5. The synergist hits escape velocity. And here is where the two paths you almost took stop being comparable at all. At 33, while the solo founder is relaunching a dead product, and the connector is sweating in front of an engineering team, the version who refused to choose does something neither could. You raise a seed round in 11 days because the venture capitalist from that dinner 10 years ago now runs his own fund, and he doesn't need to be sold. He was sold a decade back when you showed him a prototype over dinner. You hire the engineers, and they respect you because you can sit in the code base with them when it matters. You build the product and you put it in front of the exact right people on launch day because you spent your 20s earning both. By 37, you've got a company doing $11 million in revenue, and you own a real piece of it. By 39, an acquirer calls, not a cold email, a warm introduction from someone who's known you since you were broke. The number on the term sheet has 9 figures in front of the decimal. You sit there in a conference room that smells like good coffee and new leather, a pen in your hand, a pen in your hand. And somewhere underneath the calm you feel that 2 in the morning kid who almost stayed at the laptop, and the other kid who almost only ever went to the party. So here's the verdict the simulation spits out. The solo founder builds a comfortable life and a permanent ceiling. The connector builds an exciting life and a permanent fragility. And the synergist, the one who did the boring, brutal thing of mastering the craft first, then walked into the rooms with something real in their hands, is the only one who crosses the 9-figure line and crosses it years before the others even get close. Because skill without relationships is a Ferrari with no roads, and relationships without skill is a map to roads you can't drive on. Now go back to that studio apartment. 2 in the morning. The cursor blinking on line 400, the group chat glowing on the desk. The lie you were sold is that you have to choose between them. You don't. The order is the secret you build alone until the work is undeniable, and then you stop hiding. You answer the chat. You walk into the room. But this time, you walk in with something in your hands. That's the whole game. The laptop and the room were never the fork. The fork was deciding you only got to pick one.